Blog Talk Radio.
It's Wednesday, you know what that means. It's time for some law with some SVU and ABC and all the other letters. And Chicago PD, the ones that don't shoot black people. It's all happening today on the TIVOMIKE show. Live from Providence. It's the TIVOMIKE show. We're live to tape, people. You know, it's sin is dumb and debt is, what am I saying, debt? I'm on money right now. Great. We just had a money conversation. It was so exciting. You ever see someone who has so much potential and they just don't do it?
They don't know it.
They don't know it, but now they know. It's going to be so exciting. Anyway, so sin is dumb, grace is king, and diet itself has replaced YOLO as a life motto of choice. I'm your host, TIVOMIKE.
And I'm your co-host, entertainment guru, Mike Warner. Thank you for joining us, Saints. We're so damn glad you're here.
Now, just picture that with music in the background. It's just power to 1-2 punch. It'll bless you, bless. It'll mess your mess. Let me tell you something.
What you gonna tell us?
Remember from Monday when I revealed that I'm now fully committed to the Dave Ramsey, God's way, Grandma's way of finance.
Yes.
I'm seeing the freedom, people. I'm seeing the flipping freedom. In the month of April, because it is now May when you're listening to this, in the month of April, I put $2,172 and I think it was 86 cents or 85. Anyway, 86. I think it was 86 toward debt, people. Now I used to live. I remember. I wasn't that long ago when that amount of money was my paycheck for the month before taxes. And that's what I gave up to debt. So when I tell you, when I paid that, and I looked at that amount, I said, this could have been a cruise. I could have gone to Disney for the day, because it's expensive. Only covers you for one day. I could have... I could have gone to New York and met Mariska Hargitay. I mean, this is like money, people. And it went away. And guess what? In May, hopefully with all the overtime and everything else, I should be able to take $3,700 to debt. It is scorched earth, people.
Wow.
It is scorched earth. I'm finally getting ready to eat some food that I've been ordering. It's called Thrive Market, if people know about it. It's Thrive. They send you a box of food. You mix it with water and prayer, and then it comes to food. And so I'm doing that.
That is not the promotion for that product, people.
Well, that's what happens when they're not sponsors. You're going to get unvarnished TIVOMIKE-ness if you ain't a sponsor.
You add water and prayer.
Yeah, because you pray over your food.
That's
great. I'm walking it back.
That's great.
Walking it back. I'm the moonwalk. Just call me Michael Jackson. So, but no more eating out. No more, because when you get this, people, I want you to see this. Remember on the SVU, well, you guys, it's a while ago. To me, it's fresh because I'm getting caught up on the series.
I'm so happy that I talked about it and you still saw it and was like, oh,
yes! Because what the flip? Oh my God, she's the one who did the oh, that's so crazy, man.
Brooke Shields when I am.
Yes. But there was a part in one of the victims, and I think the episode right before that one, where something was going on and they were all in the room talking, and they were like, well, what do we do? She's tired of always being there to clean up. Wouldn't it be nice to be there before the problem happens, it was Olivia, because she was sad about her son. Her son, whatever. She goes, wouldn't it be great to finally catch these people, like, and to be there for the families before the incident occurs?
Oh, yes.
We're always there to clean up. And I got it. Because when you finally submit to God's way, you're like, if I would have always submitted to God. I mean, instead, here's what happens. You finally, it's SVU every week. It's something happens, you go in, let's say the best scenario happens. They catch the person, bring them to justice, and they go to jail. We never get the other story. They don't have time for it in the show. But we never get okay, now they're back at work or home or whatever, but they still have the trauma of someone raping them.
You don't get the aftermath.
No. Every once in a while they had one clip where it was like a year later, they went to one girl's apartment and she became like a vigilante.
Yeah.
But it was like a year. I was like, that was pretty good too. That was really good. But you're like, you finally started to get, and
wait until they turn out. Like,
ever. It's like, that's the cleanup. And so what Mike said to me before we started filming today's episode was he was giving me a story about somebody, and I was, doing my thing of giving advice that wasn't asked for. And I was so excited. He goes, you're a little too excited. I go, but this, if he would do this before, because see, I'm coming from experience of pain.
Yes.
And that is this is why old people get so mad at young people. It's the only reason, and no matter how much it's said, it never changes. That's why Olivia is a detective, and she's getting seasoned. But you got the rookie, what's his name? Khaleesi or Carusi?
Carusi.
And he's idealistic, and she's more realistic. Because there's this pattern of, I've been there, I've seen it, I know that's what this says. I know what we do. But you got to do blah, 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 blah. And every time Olivia goes to a case where other detectives did something first, she's got to correct their damage by going, no, she went to you first. The episode I just saw. She went to you first and told her that she was raped by the dude like 2 minutes after it happened. And
you guys told her, she had too much to drink.
Right. Yeah. And then you sneezed it away or something. Like, no, if you would have come to us. So it's like, get this people, young people, listen to the voice of regret. Listen to the voice of pain.
Yes.
That sucks, and not in theory.
In reality,
it's not. And sexual morality isn't in theory, because when you finally get your soulmate, you got to have that story of your history. And how trashy do you want it to be? Do you really want to say, oh yeah, I was 29 girls, and I gave them poppers and uppers and quaaludes and bayludes and weeds and we had, what's that in Zoolander when they're having that circle moment and they're all having sex with each other? Do you really want? I mean, it's cute at the time, sure. We've all been there. But when you are telling this innocent woman who's so pure as different stuff, and you're like, and that was 8/8/17. So now ready to 18. I mean, how trashy. So before you guys get to pain, watch the things like SVU. Watch these things like Chicago PD. These stories of these people, every week is the same episode. No matter what the episode is, the same episode. Somebody did something bad, did something about it good, and then now they got to fix it. Okay? If the person who did the wrong to the person would have fixed it, the grandma, if she had gone to counseling and said, what did I do in my parenting that resulted in what happened to my child? Let me correct that, because she's clearly in pain. She's clearly astute enough to make the plan.
Yes.
Astute enough to love the grandson. She didn't cook him on a plate or something.
Well, she loved the daughter too.
And she loved the daughter. That's what I'm saying. So, but the daughter left. She didn't do nothing to her. But she was crazy.
Yeah.
And you can see it in Olivia's eyes, like, well, she is mental, but she did the wrong. But is she wrong because she's sick? It's like you could tell she's torn.
She's trying to, yes.
And if you would just, people, if you would fix things in your life, it won't bubble up to be so bad. I mean, then Dick Wolf has nothing to talk about on shows, so keep it going for the entertainment value. But in real life, get yourself together.
Yes, keep them stories fictional.
These are their stories.
God's either real or he isn't. And Jesus either rose from the dead or he didn't. Each choice takes faith to believe. It's your decision. Just be careful you're not mistaking freedom for prison. See, if Jesus rose, then everything he said and did matters. But without a resurrection, all of Christianity shatters. It's the only faith in the world that ties its origins to an event, proving the Jesus of history is the God-man heaven sent. So if he isn't risen, then my faith is a joke. Jesus would be a liar and Christianity a pointless hoax. But this isn't blind hope, it's being certain of the unseen. It all stands or falls on one fact, not a made-up wishful dream. So there's no in between, because if Jesus is alive, then this changes everything. It means he launched a new world for God's kingdom and creation. Started in a garden, headed towards a city in Revelation, bringing order from chaos and brightness from desolation. This isn't about religion, it's God's redemptive restoration. Because Jesus did for us what couldn't be done on our own. While we were still sinners, he stepped down from his throne. But this king didn't bring judgment, he bore it. And the veil between humanity and heaven, he tore it, taking all your chains and nailing them to that tree, walking from the tomb in new life, setting every captive free. Showing that even in death, God's with you and has your back. Because all the punishment that sin deserves was poured on the Son for your behalf. And since he was blameless, you're now included with him. That's why you're baptized in water, showing the cleansing from sin. And it's now by his brokenness that you can be made whole. Because when he said it's finished, that meant paid in full. Now imagine that first morning when the world was flipped on its head. When God became king because he didn't stay dead. The grave officially robbed of its crippling power, so any uncertainty of your future can no longer devour. Because an empty grave means the fullness of life is possible. And death can't hold the living God, it's not fake news, it's the gospel. And the same resurrection power is now yours to receive. The very spirit that raised Jesus can live in you if you just believe. Because he holds all authority in every domain. There's no place in all existence that doesn't know the power in his name. So do your digging for truth. You'll come to the only one who saves, finding that all of your doubts are as empty as his grave.
Welcome back to the TIVOMIKE Show, America. We are glad you are here. We're on Blog Talk Radio and every other fine podcast platform out there. We are the #1 and fastest growing pop culture infused godcast in the nation. And guess what? You can leave a review at TIVOMIKE.com. Click on leave a review and then leave a review.
Yeah.
You know what was so great about last week? SVU. Mike, what happened? Tell people their stories.
Let me just tell you guys. I was already excited because we found out the week before last that Cabot was coming back.
Not Cabbage.
Cabot.
The actual person is coming back.
Yes, Alexandra Cabot, played
As
by
her
Stephanie
character.
March, coming back as
Right.
Alexandra Cabot.
Good.
So when we last saw her, she was leaving the show because real life she had a lot going on. She was developing a family, but in the show she was attacked by the ghost. And it was a white guy who was killing people who were, he's like an assassin. So she was about, she had
the
just
ghost face.
Well, they called him the ghost because you never saw him coming. Like, it was like literally like he'd roll out and kill you. And it was a little Spanish boy's family that he had killed. And it was long ago.
Oh,
like 4 days ago.
Oh, okay.
So
wow.
So when she left,
back when Chris was still there.
Yeah, Stable was still there. So when she left, she couldn't tell them that she was going into protective custody. And they kind of found out by accident, and they got that last second goodbye, and then they left.
Because there were some FBI units doing something else.
Yeah.
How come? Okay.
So when they brought her back a couple of years after that, she came back for a case, and they were like, oh my God, she's still alive. And they had that whole thing, and then she went off again.
I do remember that part too. Okay, I just remember the killer.
She picked up, like, she was all against the rapes and stuff of women in Africa, so she kind of like left after that. So it was like all these great storylines for Cabot,
which was good. That means the writers had a plan to bring her back later.
Yes. So this time she comes back, and what happens is this woman calls her husband while he's at a family event, screaming on the phone, and then the phone goes dead.
But the husband called.
Well, the husband called the cops. But she had called the husband. So all of a sudden, they find her car in this random parking lot, flat tires, blood on the steering wheel, and she was with her daughter, and the daughter's not there, but the shoe is there from the daughter.
How young is the daughter?
The daughter was like 8, probably. Yeah. So you're like, oh my gosh, and now.
And the show is SVU, so you ain't thinking that she was hit with a lollipop.
Exactly. So now the cops find it, and now they're starting to point to the husband as the suspect.
Good.
Because although she called him, things just don't line up. Then they find
the
out,
wife called the husband.
Yes, and then disappears.
And the husband called the police.
So they think...
Do they have the audio of the wife's call to the husband?
Yeah, because he was at a family function, so he's like, honey, what? What's going on? She's like screaming and being attacked.
So he's planning the alibi.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's exactly how it looks.
Sneaky.
They give you the whole thing, and they're like, no, he has to be the one, because all these little things that keep popping up that don't make sense.
Yeah.
What really happened is Alexandra Cabot's group of, I guess you say mercenaries?
Right.
Vigilantes. They help women in bad relationships get out, but not always using the most conventional methods.
Wait a minute.
So
Where did I see something similar?
You probably have, because it was an amazing storyline. So I'm sure that it was done. So what they did was, they got the woman out, and what they do essentially is because the husbands always find a way to get off, whether it's money or they are cops or whatever. They don't ever go to trial, so the woman just stays in this battered relationship. Right. Well, now they plan it, and it looks like he's the one that hired someone and had her killed. All this time, she's
so they're on purpose,
setting up the husband, the abuser.
That's the wrong part. You can just pretend she's dead or something, but don't.
That was the crazy part, because so what
that's so mean, and she's a DA, so she knows all that stuff.
Yes, that's
my. That's like 20 episodes from this.
Never ever say this is the way to do it. But when I tell you, when it all comes to fruition, and Olivia's like, so they're like driving, and they see people near the car, and you just see this blonde lady, beautiful Stephanie March, walking around, and Benson's like, and she gets the binoculars back, and she's like, is that Cabot? Like, the look on her face is like complete shock.
Right.
Because we haven't heard from Cabot since she left to go fight for women in Africa.
But I thought she was in... she got
out of protective custody. And then she came back for a couple episodes, and then she went back for women's rights in Africa and stuff like that.
So she's doing on her foundation.
Yeah. So all of a sudden they...
And she didn't think to say hi to Liv when she goes back to New York.
That's the thing. She didn't want people to really know she was back in New York, because that's what
you don't get caught.
Program well, that's what happened. She didn't anticipate that the husband would go to the cops because he's an abuser. And the previous victims that she got out of their situations, it was like open and shut, and they ended up in jail, and the wives and kids could go on to live whatever life they wanted.
But this guy loved his wife.
Well, he loved her enough to call the cops.
And loved her enough to respond the way he's like, what's wrong, honey? Like he'd go, what's your problem?
The thing is, he already had a mistress, and that's what put him on the block of not wanting her to find out.
Wait a minute. He's got a mistress, and he's worried about his wife being missing.
It was all about the money of what was going, because his family was like wealthy.
So he's got.
So he was not trying to let her divorce.
Right.
And take any of the family's money.
Oh, so he suspected that she was trying to just leave with money.
Well, because it was like one time before. There was one time before that. This time he did, because they left the blood in the car. So he was completely clueless as to what was going on. But they gave you like a quick. She tried to leave before, and this is what happened.
Right. Okay. Oh, so this is not the first attempt.
Yeah.
But this is the first time with Cabot.
Yes, the first time with an organization.
She should have gone to Cabot the first time. And then
so the thing is, you only find out about Cabot's organization in those severe cases where you can't get out.
Because there's no other way.
Yes.
Oh
when I tell you, Mike, the chemistry was real. The scene when it came to it and they had to make a decision on what it was going to be.
Yeah.
We went to break.
Where are you going? Going so fast tonight. Have you ever stopped beside the road to smell the rose of life? Take a breath now. Don't hold it in too long. 'Cause you might end up missing out on life's short little song. She's saying, ooh, you've got one life to live. She's singing, ooh, got one life to live, don't let it go.
Yeah, I understand the pain, the feeling solitary. When I would wake up in the morning and my happiness was buried. Under all traumas, hurts and depression, I lived in two worlds I couldn't contain the pressure. Cause I was representing someone I never was. Another lost soul, I was living just because. My shame was heavier than me for me to carry it. I had to lay it down, I saw the king die and bury it. I don't deserve this, but he did it out of love for me. Romeo and Juliet? Nah, this is the greatest love story. And I remember sitting down and writing all my thoughts, but that page was always blank, all that picture was a cross. But I couldn't draw it down, cause I was scared to surrender. I was tired of my mess, I was another pretender, another offender. Is he my defender? Just call me a vendor, I went away from the splendor. I couldn't identify, I felt ostracized. I didn't know there was a savior that already paid the price for me. But that truth I came to know, I felt a different love, he made me one of his own. Did my creator really die for me? Did my God really die for me? Man, these thoughts don't really fit in my mind. I can't stand one more second, that ain't wasting my time. But how many times I fell short of the goal? My heart's getting cold, and necklace running out of gold. When I just throw me a stone, losing my hope, becoming bold. But I believe there is a king that can restore my soul. Hope, I found it on the third day. The day I met Jesus wasn't on a Sunday. Envisioning a dream, I had a hope of someday to become the real me that I thought was astray. And you ask, where's the hope in all this mess? You're sitting down with the thief, seeing his moves in a game of chess, playing with your feelings, bringing again this depression. But a drastic turnover comes from a simple confession to convey to the Savior that you won't guide your life by your own. And I promise you, if you do that, you will never be alone.
Nothing left to lose, nothing left to win. End of the road. In every single game, every single play, every day.
Thank you, America. We are glad you are here. Mike Warner was a little rude, and I just want to apologize to all the listeners that were hanging on his every word, thinking he was getting ready to go somewhere, and said he took us a break. But whatever, that's fine.
We went somewhere.
We did, to break. I understand. Touche. Whatever. We are the number one and fastest growing podcast, pop culture infused podcast in the nation. Ooh, wouldn't that be marvelous? I just spoke up by faith. Let's go. Woo! Anyway, I'm going to thank you all for being here, and it is our time for our scripture of the day, which is Romans 13, verse 1, which is the first verse of chapter 13.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because it says verse 1. If it had said verse like 8, it would have been like 7 verses later, and then you get to that verse.
I can't do it.
But this is the first verse. Verse 13.
Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God.
Woo!
Hit you with it.
Right? Go ahead, Cabot. She didn't read that verse.
Oh, she read it, but
no,
she wasn't going by it.
She didn't listen to the governing authorities.
So when it came down to it, right?
Help the victim, which is good. But then you're going to
send the husband away.
The husband for murder. I guess that's her way of saying, well, we couldn't get her for the
domestic. Yeah.
But we'll get her.
We'll get him one way or the other.
Wow.
So
OJ better watch out for him.
I know. Imagine if she was on the case.
Because he still wants to get paid. He needs money. He should call Dick Wolf and be a guest star and be like a football player that murdered his wife. And Cabot goes in to get him for another crime.
I can't.
That would get ratings. Can't tell me that would
get ratings.
Chris Maloney comes back for this episode. Barbarossa.
We need his. We would need Chris Maloney's intensity for this episode.
And all the Pactiers come together like the Avenger team, and they just attack him. But it's only a character.
It won't be fair though, because there's no Johnny Cochran.
Oh well, he's in hell. That's what happens. There's no peace in hell. He might find peace with what he might have found peace with what he did. I hope he did get saved.
Yeah, maybe he found peace with himself beforehand.
You think so?
I'm hoping. Here's hoping.
I hope because that'd be good. I will talk to him in heaven. Get some questions. Like, how much did you get paid?
Got it.
Sorry.
So real quick then. So this whole thing happens. They find out that the wife is still alive. And Cabot is doing this Avengers thing. Olivia talks to the wife and she tells her, I understand what my great friend is telling you to do, but it's wrong. And we're going to take this to court and we're going to beat him. And then you can walk away as yourself. and they get to court.
Okay, they were given new identities. Obviously.
They were getting ready to, They get to court, and all of a sudden they're on the stand, and you see the husband boiling. Like, he's fuming mad when he sees his wife, his current wife, sitting in
being abused.
Yeah, well, exactly.
He's just mad. How dare her not have a black guy right now?
He's so mad that for the next day, court ends for that day, and they're leaving, and Carisi's driving. He's been assigned her as her detail to make sure nothing happens to her.
But the husband's in the jail.
No, because he's out on bail. Because
Why?
his family is wealthy, and they couldn't keep him in jail.
For this crime? Why not?
Because the crime itself was now overturned because she wasn't dead. So the crime they arrested him for. So now they were going to family court for the domestic. Remember?
Wait a minute. So they didn't take him to real criminal court for being an abusive jerk?
No, because that wasn't the charges.
But they could make new charges.
And that's what they did. So with the new charges, it has to go to family court to get the kid out of child custody. Because
the kid out of child. It's about him. Put him in jail.
Listen. So when they're in criminal court, no, listen. They're in the criminal court process, but because there was no complaints of abuse, she only called the cops once.
That's
and
enough.
When the hospital happened, and she went because.
And did the cops do their job the one time they were called? No. So they failed her now. They could fail again.
Well, they failed her even worse.
So irritated.
Because he's so fuming mad that he runs the car off the road that Carisi's driving.
Wait, he runs whose car? He runs Carisi off the road?
Yeah, Carisi has
Don't tell me Carisi's in an accident.
He's in an accident, but the wife was murdered.
They said all the best things in life are free. They're full of You gotta pay bills. Gotta save for retirement. What are you gonna do? Become a drug dealer? Sell your kidney? You gotta get real. TIVOMIKE can help you. TIVOMIKE's money coaching program will help make more Benjamins and less Jacksons. TIVOMIKE will help you deal with collectors, pay off debt, and get your life in order. Let TIVOMIKE show you the money. Visit TIVOMIKE.com/money right now. That's TIVOMIKE.com/money.
Look into my eyes and show me adventures I haven't seen. Taking all the lights to hit the spot, walking on fantasy. Take me, baby, take me to a state of mind that's made up, baby, that's made up of that we find.
Listen, sorry. It is not funny that this guy murdered his wife.
No.
But we had a revelation about this guy's life and money.
Which baby step he said.
Yes. So, the episode was great. I mean, it still ended the way it was supposed to. It should have ended without the wife dying.
Thank you.
However, Dick Wolf doesn't give us that, ever. That's his MO. That's how he keeps
He's showing how crappy our legal system is.
You know what's so funny? Every time I watch it, that's what I think. When I finish an episode of SVU and it goes like that, I'm like, how do we still have the same legal system?
Right. Like, fix it. Like, law matters.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
that fight.
Cabot's return was great. I hope we get some more spotted episodes of her, just because it was
where
so
she
great.
gets away and Liv busts out.
Yes. Or she gets away and puts Liv in her place.
Yeah, like Liv, not everybody needs to be in the light and live as themselves. Follow Jesus Daily on Sunday. I love you, Saint.
As always, subscribe at iTunes and Google Play. Be sure to rate us. I'm EGMike84 on Twitter. He is TivoMike on Instagram. And our show, The TivoMike Show, is on Facebook.